Content creation is very simple. It's just that most people make it seem complicated. In this video, I'll show you the simplest, most in-depth content creation method, and I promise this video will be the last video you'll ever need to start content creation. Let's get into it. So I'll mainly focus on Instagram here, but these principles are applicable for any social media. Just want to share something. So I didn't start out as a content expert. In fact, a few years ago, I was just like most people, struggling to get any traction on social media whatsoever. With no experience, I grew my account from 0 to 100,000 followers and made well over $10,000 in the first year of doing this. Mind you, that I didn't have a clue what I was doing, especially for the 6 months of my journey. I was experimenting like crazy and I didn't have any knowledge of what exactly I should do. If I could achieve 100,000 followers in 1 year, you can do way above that if you implement everything that I'm telling you in these videos. By the way, I have a bunch more videos like this which are very in-depth, so I recommend you check out my YouTube channel when you finish with this one. I also didn't have any fancy equipment or big investments because I was just a broke college student, didn't know what I was doing, and it was all experimentation with the stuff that I actually had in my house. Now I'm gonna share an exact no BS content creation strategy so you can skip the guesswork and start seeing real results, way better results than what I was getting in the first year of doing this. So just so you know why you should trust me, this is me, this is my account. I have over 330,000 followers, almost 340,000 followers actually right now. So over 10,000 success stories with my clients and people who learn from me. So when I'm talking about this stuff, I'm talking about stuff that I've tested out for over 4 years, and I want you to skip all of that struggle, get straight to the good stuff. Why content creation matters? Because content is your brand's voice and it's your biggest growth tool, especially if you don't have any budget for marketing, for ads and so on. And the most important thing is, it's how people connect with you and trust you. Why? Because if you show expertise in your content and you show that you know what you're doing, it's like a mini lead magnet. It's like a mini free offer where you're showing what you know, and they will be more likely to get into your paid offers. You don't need to be a full-time content creator. I'm not a full-time content creator, and you can have unlimited source of traffic as long as you post good content. The more content you post, the more you will grow and the more traffic you will have, and you don't need to pay for that traffic, you just need to invest time. The main thing to remember is this guide is about creating content that works and not content for the sake of creating content and for the sake of posting. Just remember that. Step 1 is defining your content pillars. You should choose 3 to 5 core topics that you will focus on consistently. These pillars will give your content a clear focus and establish you as an authority in your niche. Your pillars should be a part of your niche. If you are thinking too wide, if you are including too many niches, people won't know what you are actually about and you won't be an authority in a niche, and that will hurt your sales later on. And of course, like everyone who's doing this is doing to make money, and you don't want to be in that spot. I post about Instagram growth, monetization, productivity with AI tools, and a bit of motivation. Everything falls down into the growth niche, into social media marketing niche. Step 2 is researching what works. You should go to the Reels tab on your Instagram. You should find exceptional content in your niche based on your pillars. What's exactly exceptional content? It should have views plus engagement. Let me show you how I do that. So for example, here's one content piece which falls into my niche. I could just save it. And how do I know it's a good content piece? If I see here, it has a lot of likes, 26,000 likes. If I go to their profile, I can find it. Here it is, 1.1 million views. So this is content that I should analyze. You should just aim to find as many content pieces like this who have a lot of views and engagement that are in your niche, and save a bunch of them. We are going to use that later. Now we are going to get into the blueprint itself, and this is the most important part. So if you're going to stick around in this video, I recommend you watch this part and then you can leave. You pretty much have everything. I have 5 important rules that I want you to remember before we start with creating content. First rule is plan ahead. You should use a simple content calendar and know exactly what you're gonna post every day of the week. Remember that frequency matters. I recommend you post at least daily, because if you post daily, you will have more data to analyze. You will see what works and what doesn't work faster. If you post, let's say 3 times per week or 1 time per week, it will take you a lot of time to actually find what works. I think daily is optimal, and trust me, creating 7 pieces of content per week is something that you can do in roughly 1 to 2 hours, and then you are done for the whole week. This is my content calendar. I post every day photo posts plus a couple of reels. I honestly recommend you make your own one, and you know exactly what you're gonna post every day. You should, as I said, batch create content. You should spend 1 to 2 hours per week to create a week of content upfront, and when you make it, you are pretty much done. You just need to post it during the week. Remember that you can repurpose everything. So one piece of content can become a post, a story, a reel, or anything else. If something worked very well as a single post, for example, as a photo, it's a high chance that it will also perform well as a reel if you repurpose it well. I posted this post as a single post, and here I reused it as a reel, and it also performed quite well. Don't copy anyone. You should improve on what they are doing. So you should take an original look at what they are doing and make your own content so it's natural to you. So it's natural to your way of writing, it's natural to your way of speaking. If something is not natural to what you are doing, it will also look unnatural on camera and people won't resonate with it. Another very important pro tip, and this is what I'm doing to this day: find good content and make it 1% better. And try to be 1% better than yesterday. And trust me, when you do this 365 days a year, it compounds fast. Now, let's get into my 5-step content creation workflow. Step 1 is finding the idea. I already showed you that. Step 2 is dissecting the idea. Step 3 is recreating the idea. Step 4 is improving the idea. And step 5 is call to action and caption. For reels and photos, it's pretty much the same. The only thing that's different is the software that you're using for creating that stuff. And now I'm gonna show you all of that and exactly how I do it in practice. So let's start with designs. Let me show you something. So I found this reel, which got 258,000 likes. If something is successful in one format, it will probably be successful in another format. That's why I took this headline. There are 4 billion videos on YouTube, but you only need to see these 3. Analyzed the reel itself, and as you can see, there's a couple of YouTube videos that are playing after this. This is what we call dissecting the idea. So we have an image which looks kind of creepy, you know, and that's what we want. This is what grabs attention. And the headline, that's very good. This is something that's very unique for this reel, and that's how you dissect the idea. You analyze all of the elements and you see what you can implement in your content. Step 3 is recreating the idea. So I took this headline and I implemented it in a carousel. So there are blah 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 AI tools, but these are 64 that are actually better than ChatGPT. And I again used like a creepy image, something that sparks attention. And after that, I include the actual AI tools. What you'll notice after creating a bunch of content is that there's only so many content pieces that you can actually make. And after that, it's all about experimenting with different headlines and different call to actions. So believe it or not, I posted this kind of content already a couple of times. Every time it performed well, but I used a different hook at the start. So the hook was actually what was very unique about the content piece that I showed you. I took it, I put it into this design software which is called Canva. I simply wrote the headline. As you see, there's no fancy designs here or anything else. This picture I actually found on Pinterest. You can just search something like brutally honest photos or something like that, and something like this will pop up. So you take this, write the headline, you adapt the headline to your niche, then you present the information. Of course, this is different for every niche, so I can't tell you exactly what you should do. You should separate the information clearly. You should remember to add a call to action to save, because saves are very important for algorithm. I also like to include slide numbers because it helps out with the retention together with these slide right symbols. This is like a simple branding. You can also input this in Canva, and I have a logo. Honestly, this is something that I post, but it's not too necessary if you have the branding. This is actually the part that we call recreating the content. So you took the headline, the hook, you made the first slide, which is like 80% of the content. This is where you should invest the most time. Most content pieces which are viral are actually viral because of the hook. So focus on replicating this as closely as possible to the original. Then you can present the content pretty much however you want. Just try to really deliver value. As you can see, he included only 3 videos. I included 64 AI tools which are better than ChatGPT, and that's why it performed so well. I think this carousel got me like 50,000 likes or something like that. So it's very powerful. When you're recreating the idea, the goal should be deliver as much value as possible, preferably more value than the original creator. That's how you create content that's actually unique, but it's also very powerful because it has the original structure which already performed very well. And when we have that, the last step is call to action caption. So there's a couple of call to actions that you should include. I honestly recommend you just invite them to save this and follow you if your goal is to build an audience. Try to make it lighthearted. So it takes a lot of time to make this. So if you liked it, save this and follow me to support my work. And you have a whole content piece which is likely gonna perform very well. And if you notice, there's nothing here that's too complicated to be made in design or anything else. Canva is free, by the way. Don't overcomplicate it with colors. You need to realize that fancy designs won't make bad content work. You should focus on really delivering a lot of value. The design should be very, very simple so that it can deliver that value. If the design takes away the attention from the value itself, and if the design makes it hard to read the content, makes it hard to get to the end, that's when you have the problem. Keep it simple, try to increase the retention with these simple symbols, and focus on making actual good content. Regarding the caption itself, I always like to write captions beforehand. So I would go to Google Docs, I would simply write, save this or you forget it, and follow me for more value like this, include a couple of hashtags, and you have the caption ready when you need to post, so you don't need to think about captions all of the time. Another good idea is to write like 20 variations of that caption so that you can mix it up every time you post and you still don't need to think about the caption too much. Just focus on making caption that has just a call to action, a couple of hashtags. Next thing I want to show you is this reel. I found this reel which has a simple hook, how to start a business in 24 hours, in a simple background and a bit of text. So this reel got 170,000 likes. Another thing to dissect here when you find the idea is that it has a bit of a longer caption. This person used comment, start, and I'll send you a detailed guide for free. So basically the whole idea of this reel is that people comment that word start so they get his lead magnet. So when I analyzed this, I was thinking, how can I make this better? So firstly, this guy included 8 tips. So what did I do? I also made this in Canva by including my video in the background, how to start a business in 24 hours, but I included more tips, and because his goal was to invite them to download the lead magnet, I actually included that in the reel itself by inviting them to comment the word how. I told them to write the word how, they got my lead magnet. This reel got actually around 900,000 views and performed very well. And as you see, it's super simple. What I did is I dissected the idea, I analyzed how many tips it has, what's the headline, and remember, the headline, the hook is the most important. It should be 80% of your work. Try to make the good headline and your content will go viral. After that, I gave more tips. I also tried to include better tools than what he did. And I also included the last tip, which is how to do it, which got me a lot of conversions for my lead magnet. And by the way, I didn't make a long caption like he. I just invited them to read the caption. I repeated the call to action that I had here. So the important thing to remember is any content can be recreated. It's just about how creative you are to bring better value than the original creator. To recap is I found the content, I dissected it, analyzed it, I recreated the content and improved the content by including more tips, and at the end I used the call to action and the caption with the call to action again to finish the content. So there's another type of content which I need to explain very quickly how to do it. I won't go too in depth because I don't want this video to be 60 minutes. So another type of content is filming content, just as I'm doing right now. Of course, this is a YouTube video, so I'm pretty much using just this small box to film myself, but when you are making shorts, when you are making reels, when you are making TikToks, you need to film yourself in vertical format. As I said, for design there's Canva. For filming, I just use stock Android camera. Whatever camera you have on your phone is just enough. And for editing, I use a free tool called CapCut. Now, whatever camera you have, when you go to the stock app of Android camera, you have option to use pro video, professional camera, professional video, whatever it is, you have an option for that so that you can adjust certain settings to make your videos look better. You should film in 1080p 30 fps. A simple reason for that, if you're gonna create a bunch of content, you don't want to film them in 4K simply because neither YouTube, TikTok or Instagram have the ability to show the shorts currently in that format. Even if they had the ability, a lot of people are watching shorts on their mobile phones. 99% of Android or iOS phones don't have 4K display, so it's useless to film in that format. It will just take you more space on your phone, it will take more time to render, to export and everything else, and you don't want to waste time on that. Just film in 1080p 30 fps. This is, for example, screenshot of the professional mode on my Android device. So the first option is ISO. ISO is basically artificial lighting. If you have a dark room, your ISO will need to be higher. I honestly recommend just keep it as low as possible until it's not too dark. The lower you can go with ISO, the better quality of the video you will get when you're filming yourself. The next setting is shutter speed. If you're filming in 30 fps, 1/60 is good. White balance. I can't tell you what's a good range for white balance. Usually it's between 4000 and 6000, but what I prefer to wear something white or to put a blank piece of paper in front of the camera so that I can adjust until it looks white on the camera. White balance is actually to make whites look white on the camera. So just put a blank piece of paper and adjust it until the piece of paper looks white. That's when you should start filming, and that's when it will look the most natural. If you have some budget, I recommend you do two things. Get some external lighting. So for example, I got a simple ring light here. You can see it on small camera here. It's a very good investment to make yourself look better on the camera. Another thing is cheap external microphone. It can also save your life. And I honestly recommend, if you have a little bit of budget, get a cheap external microphone and lighting. Your videos will look a lot sharper. So this is for technical details before we even start to talk about filming. Important tips when you are filming. You should have a script up front using the 5-step method. So you're gonna do the same thing. You're gonna find the idea, you're gonna analyze the idea. Then when you analyze it, you're gonna recreate it, you're gonna write out the whole script with the same structure that the original video had that got a lot of views. You're gonna improve it by giving better tips, more tips, and so on. And you're gonna finish with the call to action and write out the caption. So that when you sit down and you film, you know what you're filming and you're finished with filming in 1 hour. Another very important thing when you're talking like this, if you're not improvising as I'm doing right now, you should talk one line at a time. Because if you're reading from a script and you don't have a teleprompter where you can read, you can just pick one line at the camera, one line, pause, read, one line, pause, and so on. Simply because when you are cutting that in CapCut later on, so it doesn't take you too much time to fit everything together, you actually just cut out the pauses and you have the content piece. Test out the equipment before officially filming. I can't tell you how many times it happened to me that I started filming and my microphone wasn't working, lighting looked bad, and I could throw out the film content to the trash. Make sure you are not too much into the camera, but not too far away. Good idea is to leave about this much space above your head, just as I did on this screenshot. Why? Because if you want to zoom in, you can do it. If you want to pull back, you can do that too. Another good tip and another important thing is make sure your camera tilt is good. So you don't want your camera to be inverted to a certain side. You want to be centered at the screen so it doesn't look weird. This is pretty much for the filming. So you have the content, you read out the script, you film it, and you have raw content. What do you do now with it if you're not a professional video editor? I'll tell you, very simple. CapCut is a very simple video editing software that has a ton of features and it's completely free, so I sincerely recommend you check it out. There's a couple of features that I want you to focus on when you are editing. So you want to go to CapCut, you have an option for new project, you just import the video that you just filmed, and then you have a couple of options which are gonna save you a lot of time. So firstly, I want you to go to adjust. So let me show you. Here's adjust. I want you to go to adjust, and you're gonna have an option for color correction here. This is automatically gonna fix the colors and the brightness and everything else of your video. It's gonna look much better. Just use this. CapCut has amazing AI for this, honestly. The next option is auto captions. So this is actually when you go to text option and you have this option, auto captions, it's gonna add automatic subtitles to your video. After it's added, it's gonna look like this. I want you to go and to just fix any errors, because there's probably gonna be some errors in the way that AI transcribes it, but it's gonna be just minor. The reason why we do this is like 80% of people that are watching Instagram are actually watching without the sound. So if your content doesn't have subtitles, people will just skip it. It's a simple way to get more attention to your video. Another thing is enhance voice. This is especially useful if you don't have a microphone. So you click on the video and this option will pop up, enhance voice, click it, it will make the audio clearer and better. Simple fix, you must do it. Another thing is volume. If it's too quiet, just increase the volume. Here's the option. And you have a bunch of other options. I'll just let you play around with it. For example, overlay option. This is like to add overlay elements like this and so on, but you can play around with that. Important things are color correction, volume, enhanced voice, and auto captions, because this will make your video look professional. Focus on creating good content in the script itself. If the script is good, you can then edit and be creative with it and so on. But if the script is bad, you can't make good content from bad scripting. We are coming back to the start. Focus on the 5-step workflow to create the content, and when you actually create the content, filming and editing is the easiest step. So focus on that. And when you have this, whichever method you chose, the faceless reel with the overlay or the designs or filming, whatever you chose, you have a finished reel. So this is basically how I create my reels and designs, and in fact it's what most creators do. It's just that creators make it too complicated, or they have people who are making scripts, who are editing, who are designing for them, but this is basically what most content creators do. Remember, at the start you didn't know anything, and now you know one of the most important skills in the world, content creation. There's just 2 more steps that you should think about. First is you need to analyze and improve. You should review each week to see what worked and what didn't, adjust the strategy, keep what works, improve and remove what doesn't. So if you go to my posts and I go to my profile, and you can see that some ideas I post on repeat, but some ideas simply didn't work, I abandoned them immediately. For example, this didn't work, I will never post something like this. But for example, this worked, 80,000 views, bam, I posted another one. Keep what works, remove what doesn't. Very simple. And step 5, you need to stay consistent. Consistency together with volume, posting daily, equal success. Use this method and you'll easily have quality, the 5-step workflow. You only need quantity. The more you post, the more algorithm knows you and the faster you grow. And the better you are becoming at content creation, and the easier it becomes to create good content. Whatever is happening in your life, you need to count on it upfront. You need to count that you will screw up. You need to create content upfront. For example, when I know that I'm not gonna be available to make content for next 2 weeks, I sit down and I batch create content for the whole month, and then I can do whatever the hell I want. You need to plan that you're gonna screw up in order to not screw up your consistency, because consistency is what breaks most creators. Content creation doesn't need to be complex. Stick to this framework and focus on delivering value more than anyone. Avoid perfectionism, just post the content even though you are not ready. Small steps will build big results. At the start you will get less views, but as you go up, your views will increase over time, and that's how you will blow up. Remember, you will struggle, so struggle is inevitable. But if you struggle for long enough, success is inevitable too. And that's it, you became a content creator. And if you want to connect with other amazing content creators, grow and make $10,000 in next 3 to 6 months using content creation and Instagram, I recommend you join my close community, Hypergrowth Network. You'll get courses, blueprints, and everything else you need to make your first $10,000 on Instagram. You'll get an intro call with me where we will discuss a game plan for you and what exactly you should do on your journey to achieve not only growth but actual money from Instagram in next 3 to 6 months. You will get access to weekly calls, daily and monthly masterclasses from other amazing creators who have hundreds of thousands of followers together, daily Instagram trends and leaks, and much more. Most importantly, you'll stay accountable and achieve your goals. Accountability is actually why 99% of creators fail. And in this community, you'll not only learn, but you'll also need to implement because everything is pushing you towards that. If that sounds good, check the first link in the description below for more info, because you can also join 7 days for free. If you don't like it, you can just leave in 7 days, or you can stay with us and achieve amazing results like 190 people who are currently in the community. If you want all of that, join 7 days for free. If not, don't forget to sub to the channel because I drop weekly in-depth guides like this, and also let me know what you want me to cover in the next video in the comment section below. Cheers!